Welcome to my channel everyone. Bitcoin is currently trading at 115,000 US dollar and we can still look for higher prices. In this video we are not just going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP and Solana. We will also talk about all the other altcoins on the right side because I think we can do a small update today. So basically let's just start with Bitcoin. I think this is the most interesting part. $113,480. We broke it to the upside. I have also said that I'm out of my long trades. Why? Because I was over leveraged. Yeah, that's why I personally took profits. But I also have said within the community post that I still think we broke to the upside. We can be still long and we still can look for higher prices. So here was the breakout. Here was the first retest. We got today not the best CPI data, so the inflation rate is not the best one. We got a sell-off, again, a retest, but the market is still going up. So basically everything looks positive. I can take this arrow out of the chart so far. So for Bitcoin, target 117,700 US dollar is going to get very interesting. Yes, we can also get over it a little bit. We also don't have to go exactly into that target. Remember that. But once we break the $117,700 sustainable to the upside, and sustainable means similar which we had right here. Breakout, retest, follow through, another breakout, retest, and now here the follow through. So everything looks good. Once the same happens at the 117,700 US dollar, then we can look for prices between 119,380 US dollar to 123,277 US dollar. We also have to keep in mind that we have a scenario where we get into the price mark right here and from there sell off a lot. Why that? Because this is typical for the altcoin season. So basically, in my opinion, we are in the altcoin season. We already see, for example, let's just take the hype coin, hype USDT. Let's take the chart here and let's just switch to the 8-hour chart. So you can see hype is doing a new all-time high. If we now look over BNB USDT, so the Binance coin, new all-time high. So basically the altcoin season is ongoing. The altcoin season always works like the money goes from Bitcoin into Ethereum and the other large caps. The large caps are Hype and BNB and Ethereum for sure. And once they sell off, people are going to take profits from the large caps and they're going to put it into the other large caps, like for example XRP. We also see that Solana is currently outperforming, but more interesting it will get once we get the money into SUI, Avalanche, HBAR, Dogecoin, Render, TAO, Kaspa, ONDO, because there the altcoin season didn't happen yet. I still expect that in the near future and afterwards for sure. I don't want to say that every single altcoin is going to pump, but most likely all of those I would say top 500, even top 1000 coins, they should get a nice altcoin season. And then we see prices pumping and pumping for those coins. But for sure, this is not going to happen simultaneously. So once we see that kind of sell-off, afterwards, Bitcoin gets, I don't want to say a new all-time high afterwards. I still expect that Bitcoin is going to do a new all-time high. But it can also be that Bitcoin is just going to do, yeah, you might not see something, so I will do it here on the right side, that it's just going to do a lower high to the all-time high in the future. Yeah, for sure, we can still get a new all-time high and start it from here. So once we sell off and Bitcoin builds a lower high to the all-time high, then the altcoins are going to get within this push this price movement. This is the altcoin season. So I think I have everything said about Bitcoin, what I wanted to say. Everything looks good to me. I don't think that, we have said 110,200 something. If they break to the downside, then it would be negative. We are so far away from that. So target is ongoing, 170,700 US dollar for Bitcoin. So for Ethereum, we have drew here something that we got this kind of sell-off, which was negative, but our target was still the 4,487 US dollar. We didn't get perfectly into that target, but very near to it. That's why I always say we don't hunt every single penny. We just take areas. For example, if I see $4,488 as a target, then I'm going to take profits earlier. I don't care about those 1 or 2% to the upside, because this can always happen. And from there, sell off. So also, since Bitcoin looks good, Ethereum is also going to look good once we break the $4,487 to the upside. Then the analysis is still the same to yesterday. 4,717 US dollar is going to get my target. From there, we also have to think about a huge pullback, which can even create a lower low than we had before, so lower than 4,100 US dollar. And then probably the push where we can see Ethereum over 5.5K. So far, like I said, everything looks good. 4,250 US dollar is the mark. If we break it to the downside, then it would be negative. We are so far away, so I don't want to talk about that scenario right now. So for XRP, same here. $3.08 is still the target. So we can still get higher prices into $3.08 once it breaks to the upside, long to me into $3.14. If the $3.14 breaks to the upside and we get a nice retest, also target $3.30. Nothing changed there. $2.90, if they break to the downside, so means this red trend line, then I can think about a bigger pullback. So what I can also think about here is that it might be even possible that we get into the maximum extension and from here sell off bigger before the altcoin season happens for XRP as well. So what about Solana? Like I said, for Solana, we broke a rising wedge. For that we have to go into the 4-hour chart. So we had here our rising wedge, bearish chart pattern, but I have also told you, as long as bearish chart patterns don't break to the downside, don't be afraid of bearish chart patterns. We broke it to the upside, so basically we invalidated this bearish chart pattern. So I can take out the targets of that pattern. Also, this can get out of the chart because this was a trend line with just 2 touch points. It is not, in my opinion, pretty good. I always want to look for trend lines which have more than 3 touch points. Like, for example, the upper part. 1, 2, 3. And if we go into the past, then we also see 4, 5 touch points. Yeah, 5 touch points. So those are the trend lines which I'm looking for. Those are trend lines which are good to trade, in my opinion. Solana looks long. Most likely, if we are very bullish, $250 US dollar for Solana, ongoing. Once we lose the green trend line again, $222.64, then we can expect a pullback even before we get to $250 US dollar. So what happened for SUI? For SUI, we were saying that once we break the $3.60 to the upside, then we should see the upper part of the fair value gap, the falling wedge, which you can see in bright blue. I will draw you that here also. So this here is the falling wedge. We didn't break it to the upside yet, but we got some positive news. The news is we broke the $3.60 to the upside. So the target is right now $3.74. Once they break to the upside, I would get into a long position, at least into $3.88. If they also break to the upside, then we can actually look for prices up to, I will give you 2 price marks, $4.42 and $4.80. Also, we have a resistance right here, $4.25. If it also breaks to the upside, then I would increase my position size for SUI as well. We also have one red trend line on the chart. So basically, for sure, it also looks very good right now. But just because it looks right now, it doesn't mean that it has to be good in the future. So we don't know what happens tomorrow or next week. So we have here a red trend line on the chart, which is currently the price mark of $3.54, but over the time this price is going to move to the upside. So basically once we break this to the downside, this red trend line, then I would say, hey, maybe the push for SUI is done and we can look for lower prices afterwards, the altcoin season for SUI. So what about Avalanche? I've said in yesterday's update about Avalanche that some coins might even push more, and you will see that for TAO, for example, for ONDO, for Kaspa. And we have also said that those coins can push to the upside, while Avalanche is just going sideways or even within a bull flag, means like getting a corrective movement to the downside. So we always get lower prices, but this would also be bullish. So far, we just went sideways for Avalanche. Does it mean that the push is done? No. We got our push into exactly $30. $30.30 were our maximum target for now. So for Avalanche, I would still look a bit more. We can sell off because we have huge fair value gap down below here. And Avalanche, in my opinion, already did its movement to the upside. I expect a correction. And afterwards, new tops. Yeah, this looks messy right now. So let me take it out of the chart. At least, yeah, I actually want to take both targets, like both scenarios on the chart. The other scenario is that the push is already done and we should sell off, but the other coins are looking so bullish. So I also think that Avalanche has the chance to get some slightly higher high. But this, which I drew here, this can happen on a later time, for sure. So here also, $26.90. If they break to the downside, then I would say, hey, the push might be over for Avalanche and we can see a bigger correction to the downside. Afterwards, a nice altcoin season for Avalanche as well. I think the push for Avalanche is most likely done. Avalanche made its gains already. So if we now look over HBAR. For HBAR, we have said, yes, we have the falling wedge, which broke to the upside. I will show you that. Right here on that falling wedge in bright blue. I'm talking about this one right here. It broke to the upside. We also have said that we have a bearish chart pattern on the chart, which is in orange, the rising wedge. With this wick, which we got up here, we invalidated this chart pattern. So, like I said, don't be afraid of bearish chart patterns. They can get invalidated once we are bullish. Same goes, for example, for the head and shoulders formatation, which we have in orange. I will also draw you that here. So this was a bearish head and shoulders formatation. I can do it better. So this one right here. Until here, it was a bearish chart pattern. But we have to break to the downside to activate this chart pattern. This didn't happen. We went for higher prices. So the bearish chart pattern never got activated. I can also take this one out of the chart. The bear flag, which we also had, was also this bear flag right here, was also a bearish chart pattern. We had to break it to the downside to activate it. We didn't. Still, I want to keep that flag on the chart, not because I count this as bear flag. I don't want to count this as bear flag anymore. Like I said, we invalidated it. It's just because we have support on the downside and we have resistance on the upside. In this case, we have also support on the upside, where we saw that the price bounced here twice already. So in the future, it's going to get longer. And even if we are going to sell off, this is also going to get support in the future. I don't think that we are going to see this kind of price movement, but in the end of the day, target for HBAR is currently the purple box between 25.4 cents to 25.8 cents. And because you can't see this price mark right here, I will just put it here to the left side. If we now look over Dogecoin, then we have set for Dogecoin, once we break the 24.22 cents to the upside, then we should see the 26 cents. We are very close to it. And I think, yes, we still have those few cents to the upside. So let's measure it. 1.6%. We can still make it to the upside. Afterwards, we have to see if not this kind of price movement is going to happen. Once we break the 26 cents to the upside, then I think 26.77 cents is going to get the target for Dogecoin. Also, everything looks good. Everything looks bullish to me right now in the short term. What happens on the long term? We have to see. Like I said, we can still sell off, get a lower low, even into 18 cents before the altcoin season for Dogecoin starts. If we now look over render broke to the upside. Target $4.20 to, if we get into the maximum extension, $4.50. Ongoing right now. Everything looks good to me. The next red trend line where I would say we are bearish would be at $3.70. We are so far away, so we have to wait maybe until tomorrow, maybe even a few days more until we see a new trend line where we can say once we break it to the downside, then we can talk about a more bearish scenario. For now it's $3.70, so we are still far away from that. So basically render has to sell off 8% and break this price mark to the downside to be bearish. It is so far away that I think the price movement to the upside, since we also broke to the upside, since we also have bullish structures, $4.20 is far more realistic to get. The possibility to get there is far higher than selling off, in my opinion. If we now look over TAO, then I have also told you that TAO can do price movements like we have seen for Avalanche, and I'm talking about those kind of price movements. So while all the coins went sideways, TAO still went up. Our target was $356. We even overshot it. I think we have more potential to the upside. So first of all, I can take this one out of the chart. We went there so far. It's going to start bearish once we break the $343 to the downside again, which is also far away, and I don't think that we are going to see that, but I still have to keep that on the chart. So actually, I don't see any kind of resistance where I would say this is an essential resistance. Yeah, maybe we can say we have here a resistance block. For example, yeah, I didn't make it perfect. Yes, like this. Once we get there, I would be a bit more careful. $375 to $386. But if we get the same movement like we have seen for Avalanche and for ONDO, $404 is going to get the target. This is also near to the target of the falling wedge, which we have in bright blue. So basically, this here is the falling wedge, which broke to the upside, where we got our retest target 400 for US dollar for TAO. So I'm looking for higher prices for TAO as well. If we now look over Kaspa, then we have also said about Kaspa, once we break, we have said about Kaspa that you can't see it, but here was a green trend line on the chart. So the price mark of 8.1 cents. Since we broke it to the upside, right here, retested it once, retested it twice. Here was the breakout of the bull flag. Bigger retracement, retested the 8.1 cents again. We have said that the target of 8.5 cents is still ongoing, but we have to see the 8.3 breaking to the upside. So we get the follow through. This happens. 8.5 cents, we also broke to the upside. So even if we are going to retest it, like I have drew right here, that we get the breakout, we have the breakout right now, so we can easily retest the 8.5 cents again. then I still think that we are going to see the 8.8 cents for Kaspa with a very high chance. What happens afterwards, we have to see. Maybe we are forming more bullish chart patterns so we can get higher prices. But if we start to form bearish chart patterns, like for example, we don't have to get a rising wedge, for example. We can also push and form, I can't do it right here so you won't see it, but we can still push and get a double top pattern, for example, which we then break to the downside. If I see this kind of price movement, then I can actually think about a huge sell-off afterwards altcoin season for Kaspa. If we now look over ONDO, the bull flag for ONDO, it was tricky, but this bull flag actually worked if we ignore candle wicks. And I don't like candle wicks. Candle wicks are not breakouts. So here we got the candle close over it. Here we retested it a few times. Yeah, we wicked lower than that right here, but the candle never closed lower than the bull flag. So basically, we always kept being over the bull flag. Target was ongoing. $1.05. Now we are also breaking it to the upside. We can retest it again. $1.10 is going to get the target, but $1.13 is my maximum target. So I think everything which is within this area is going to get interesting from there. We have to see if we are going to sell off. So basically, all in all the cryptos are looking very good to me. We have to expect pullbacks. The crypto exchange or the stock exchange is not a one-way street. So we get up, we get down. We get up, we get down. We get up, we get down. The question is, how do we get up and how do we get down? Because the same can happen to the downside as well. We go up, but we go sharp down. Then we got a bit up and then we get far more down. So what I want to tell you is, don't expect that those kind of price movements are always going to happen like this within a few hours. We will always see pullbacks, and the pullbacks can get a bit bigger than some people wish to. But those dips, like you know, probably buy the dip. I'm also buying the dip, but I'm buying the dip based on we break out, and the dip is the retest of a chart pattern. For example, here is the breakout, here is the dip. This dip I want to buy. I don't want to buy this dip. I also don't want to buy this dip. I don't want to buy this dip. I want to see first the breakout, and once I see the breakout and we get a dip, which is the retest, then this is the dip which I want to buy for cryptos. And you can already see Bitcoin is outperforming right now. Let's just look into the Bitcoin dominance. So basically, if I look into the Bitcoin dominance, then I can say, hey, we have a bullish chart pattern, but if I see it correctly right now, this also looks like a bear flag to me. This is a bearish chart pattern. So if we are going to lose it, then the altcoins have some time to shine. So basically, everything looks good to me. We had bearish chart patterns on the chart. We didn't break them to the downside, so we never activated them. We had bullish chart patterns, which we broke to the upside, which we retested it. So basically, everything looks long to me. With that said, we will see each other hopefully tomorrow with new chart patterns, because today we don't have any kind of new chart patterns. We are just we had our chart patterns the days before, And now we broke them to the upside, and actually we are just going to get the pushes to the upside. So basically, in the end of the day, in those kind of market stages, we are not going to form more chart patterns. You will just see, like for example, for render, in this kind of market stage, this is not a chart pattern. If we look into ONDO, this here is not a chart pattern. This right here is a chart pattern. If we look into Kaspa, this right here is not a chart pattern. So basically we have to see, the prices are going to push in my opinion, and afterwards, maybe tomorrow, maybe over the weekend, we should form some new chart patterns, and then we can look where next week is getting us to. Are we going to get higher prices, or is the push in a few days done, and then we can sell off more than some people expect? Because I think that many people are talking about the altcoin season, where everyone waits since 2 years, I think. Like I said, in my opinion, we are in the altcoin season, but some people think the altcoin season means that all the altcoins are going to pump up simultaneously. In my opinion, which I have seen so far, altcoin season always begins with large caps, like for example BNB and Hype, like Ethereum, which I have showed you. They are doing new all-time highs. Not Kaspa, not ONDO, not TAO, not Render. Not yet. Once they get a pullback, the money hopefully swaps into those kind of coins. And if you don't want to miss the altcoin season, then subscribe me. I will also, while we have the altcoin season for the other large caps to mid caps, even to small caps, then I'm also going to change my daily analysis. Yeah, there will be also a day where I'm not going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana anymore, because once they are done, then I think there are far more interesting trades to take. And then I don't want to waste my time with, for example, the Solana anymore. Yeah, for now, we still have Solana in the altcoin update. Why that? Because the altcoin season for Solana didn't happen yet. I still think Solana has some upside potential, but once it is done, I don't want to waste my time for Solana anymore. I don't want to waste your time for Solana anymore. And then I want to look for coins which still have price potential to the upside between 50 to 200%, like we are used to have once we have an altcoin season. So with that said, I would be very happy if you like my video, if you subscribe, if you want to be trading with me within the altcoin season. And I wish you a nice day. We see each other tomorrow with hopefully higher prices, and in a few days hopefully with new chart patterns for new trades in the future. And in worst case scenario for most of you, I know this is the worst case scenario, also to track this kind of price movement. Yeah, this is just speculation right now, but this can get the future can happen. But I will just keep that on the chart for now. Once I have chart patterns which are actually proving that, so this is in my opinion evidence, then I'm also going to show you that. As long as I don't have it, as long as we have more chart patterns, bullish ones, then I can actually take this out of the chart. But for now, let's keep it, and we see each other tomorrow.